اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا عليم. ربنا اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. Today we will be reading some ayat from the juz' number 22. This juz' has about half of Surah Al-Ahzab, then the full surah of Saba wa Fatir, and then first couple pages of Surah Yasin, inshallah. We will read parts of Surah Al-Ahzab and a few pages from Surah Saba, inshallah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ومن يقنت منكن لله ورسوله وتعمل صالحا نؤتها أجرها مرتين وأعتدنا لها رزقا كريما. يا نساء النبي لستن كأحد من النساء إن اتقيتن فلا تخضعن بالقول فيطمع الذي في قلبه مرض وقلن قولا معروفا وقرن في بيوتكن ولا تبرجن تبرج الجاهلية الأولى وأقمنا الصلاة وآتينا الزكاة وأطعنا الله ورسوله إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا واذكرن ما يتلى في بيوتكن من آيات الله والحكمة إن الله كان لطيفا خبيرا. إن المسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والقانتين والقانتات والصادقين والصادقات والصابرين والصابرات والخاشعين والخاشعات والمتصدقين والمتصدقات والصائمين والصائمات والحافظين فروجهم والحافظات والذاكرين الله كثيرا والذاكرات أعد الله لهم مغفرة وأجرا عظيما. وما كان لمؤمن ولا مؤمنة إذا قضى الله ورسوله أمرا أن يكون لهم الخيرة من أمرهم ومن يعص الله ورسوله فقد ضل ضلالا مبينا. وإذ تقول للذي أنعم الله عليه وأنعمت عليه أمسك عليك زوجك واتق الله وتخفي في نفسك ما الله مبديه وتخشى الناس والله أحق أن تخشاه. فلما قضى زيد منها وطرا زوجناكها لكي لا يكون على المؤمنين حرج في أزواج أدعيائهم إذا قضوا منهن وطرا وكان أمر الله مفعولا. ما كان على النبي من حرج فيما فرض الله له سنة الله في الذين خلوا من قبل وكان أمر الله قدرا مقدورا. الذين يبلغون رسالات الله ويخشونه ولا يخشون أحدا إلا الله وكفى بالله حسيبا. ما كان محمد أبا أحد من رجالكم ولكن رسول الله وخاتم النبيين وكان الله بكل شيء عليما. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اذكروا الله ذكرا كثيرا وسبحوه بكرة وأصيلا. هو الذي يصلي عليكم وملائكته ليخرجكم من الظلمات إلى النور وكان بالمؤمنين رحيما. تحيتهم يوم يلقونه سلام وأعد لهم أجرا كريما. يا أيها النبي إنا أرسلناك شاهدا ومبشرا ونذيرا وداعيا إلى الله بإذنه وسراجا منيرا وبشر المؤمنين بأن لهم من الله فضلا كبيرا ولا تطع الكافرين والمنافقين ودع أذاهم وتوكل على الله وكفى بالله وكيلا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نكحتم المؤمنات ثم طلقتموهن من قبل أن تمسوهن فما لكم عليهن من عدة تعتدونها فمتعوهن وسرحوهن سراحا جميلا. يا أيها النبي إنا أحللنا لك أزواجك اللاتي آتيت أجورهن وما ملكت يمينك مما أفاء الله عليك وبنات عمك وبنات عماتك وبنات خالك وبنات خالاتك اللاتي هاجرن معك وامرأة مؤمنة إن وهبت نفسها للنبي إن أراد النبي أن يستنكحها خالصة لك من دون المؤمنين قد علمنا ما فرضنا عليهم في أزواجهم وما ملكت أيمانهم لكي لا يكون عليك حرج وكان الله غفورا رحيما. ترجي من تشاء منهن وتؤوي إليك من تشاء ومن ابتغيت ممن عزلت فلا جناح عليك ذلك أدنى أن تقر أعينهن ولا يحزن ويرضين بما آتيتهن كلهن والله يعلم ما في قلوبكم وكان الله عليما حليما. لا يحل لك النساء من بعد ولا أن تبدل بهن من أزواج ولو أعجبك حسنهن إلا ما ملكت يمينك وكان الله على كل شيء رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تدخلوا بيوت النبي إلا أن يؤذن لكم إلى طعام غير ناظرين إناه ولكن إذا دعيتم فادخلوا فإذا طعمتم فانتشروا ولا مستأنسين لحديث إن ذلكم كان يؤذي النبي فيستحيي منكم والله لا يستحيي من الحق وإذا سألتموهن متاعا فاسألوهن من وراء حجاب ذلكم أطهر لقلوبكم وقلوبهم وما كان لكم أن تؤذوا رسول الله ولا أن تنكحوا أزواجه من بعده أبدا إن ذلكم كان عند الله عظيما. إن تبدوا شيئا أو تخفوه فإن الله كان بكل شيء عليما. لا جناح عليهن في آبائهن ولا أبنائهن ولا إخوانهن ولا أبناء إخوانهن ولا أبناء إخوانهن ولا أبناء أخواتهن ولا نسائهن ولا ما ملكت أيمانهن واتقين الله إن الله كان على كل شيء شهيدا إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما إن الذين يؤذون الله ورسوله لعنهم الله في الدنيا والآخرة وأعد لهم عذابا مهينا والذين يؤذون المؤمنين والمؤمنات بغير ما اكتسبوا فقد احتملوا بهتانا وإثما مبينا يا أيها النبي قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن ذلك أدنى أن يعرفن فلا يؤذين وكان الله غفورا رحيما لئن لم ينته المنافقون والذين في قلوبهم مرض والمرجفون في المدينة لنغرينك بهم ثم لا يجاورونك فيها إلا قليلا ملعونين أينما ثقفوا أخذوا وقتلوا تقتيلا سنة الله في الذين خلوا من قبل ولن تجد لسنة الله تبديلا يسألك الناس عن الساعة قل إنما علمها عند الله وما يدريك لعل الساعة تكون قريبا إن الله لعن الكافرين وأعد لهم سعيرا خالدين فيها أبدا لا يجدون وليا ولا نصيرا يوم تقلب وجوههم في النار يقولون يا ليتنا أطعنا الله وأطعنا الرسولا وقالوا ربنا إنا أطعنا سادتنا وكبراءنا فأضلونا السبيلا ربنا آتهم ضعفين من العذاب والعنهم لعنا كبيرا يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تكونوا كالذين آذوا موسى فبرأه الله مما قالوا وكان عند الله وجيها يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما إنا عرضنا الأمانة على السماوات والأرض والجبال فأبين أن يحملنها وأشفقن منها وحملها الإنسان إنه كان ظلوما جهولا ليعذب الله المنافقين والمنافقات والمشركين والمشركات ويتوب الله على المؤمنين والمؤمنات وكان الله غفورا رحيما بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وله الحمد في الآخرة وهو الحكيم الخبير يعلم ما يلج في الأرض وما يخرج منها وما ينزل من السماء وما يعرج فيها وهو الرحيم الغفور. وقال الذين كفروا لا تأتينا الساعة قل بلى وربي لتأتينكم عالم الغيب لا يعزب عنه مثقال ذرة في السماوات ولا في الأرض ولا أصغر من ذلك ولا أكبر إلا في كتاب مبين ليجزي الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات أولئك لهم مغفرة ورزق كريم والذين سعوا في آياتنا معاجزين أولئك لهم عذاب من رجز أليم ويرى الذين أوتوا العلم الذي أنزل إليك من ربك هو الحق ويهدي إلى صراط العزيز الحميد. وقال الذين كفروا هل ندلكم على رجل ينبئكم إذا مزقتم كل ممزق إنكم لفي خلق جديد أفترى على الله كذبا أم به جنة بل الذين لا يؤمنون بالآخرة في العذاب والضلال البعيد أفلم يروا إلى ما بين أيديهم وما خلفهم من السماء والأرض إن نشأ نخسف بهم الأرض أو نسقط عليهم كسفا من السماء إن في ذلك لآية لكل عبد منيب ولقد آتينا داود منا فضلا يا جبال أوبي معه والطير وألنا له الحديد أن اعمل سابغات وقدر في السرد واعملوا صالحا إني بما تعملون بصير ولسليمان الريح غدوها شهر ورواحها شهر وأسلنا له عين القطر ومن الجن من يعمل بين يديه بإذن ربه ومن يزغ منهم عن أمرنا نذقه من عذاب السعير يعملون له ما يشاء من محاريب وتماثيل وجفان كالجواب وقدور الراسيات اعملوا آل داود شكرا وقليل من عبادي الشكور فلما قضينا عليه الموت ما دلهم على موته إلا دابة الأرض تأكل من سأته فلما خر تبينت الجن أن لو كانوا يعلمون الغيب ما لبثوا في العذاب المهين لقد كان لسبإ في مسكنهم آية جنتان عن يمين وشمال كلوا من رزق ربكم واشكروا له بلدة طيبة ورب غفور فأعرضوا فأرسلنا عليهم سيل العرم وبدلناهم بجنتيهم جنتين ذواتي أكل خمط وأثل وشيء من سدر قليل ذلك جزيناهم بما كفروا وهل نجازي إلا الكفور وجعلنا بينهم وبين القرى التي باركنا فيها قرى ظاهرة وقدرنا فيها السير سيروا فيها ليالي وأياما آمنين فقالوا ربنا باعد بين أسفارنا وظلموا أنفسهم فجعلناهم أحاديث ومزقناهم كل ممزق إن في ذلك لآيات لكل صبار شكور ولقد صدق عليهم إبليس ظنه فاتبعوه إلا فريقا من المؤمنين وما كان له عليهم من سلطان إلا لنعلم من يؤمن بالآخرة ممن هو منها في شك وربك على كل شيء حفيظ قل ادعوا الذين زعمتم من دون الله لا يملكون مثقال ذرة في السماوات ولا في الأرض وما لهم فيهما من شرك وما له منهم من ظهير ولا تنفع الشفاعة عنده إلا لمن أذن له ولا تنفع الشفاعة عنده إلا لمن أذن له حتى إذا فزع عن قلوبهم قالوا ماذا قال ربكم قالوا الحق وهو العلي الكبير صدق الله العظيم. This will end الحزب number 43 and the first half of this juz'u, and then the rest from ayah number 24 all the way to Surah Yasin, ayah number 59 will be among us this juz'u inshallah, and then the next juz'u will start after that. Actually ayah number 27 in Surah Yasin. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا عليم. So the beginning of the surah today starts from Surah Al-Ahzab, which the name comes from the battle Al-Ahzab, or it's the trench. It's the same battle when the Quraysh and some of their allies, they came to conquer Medina, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prevented them from doing that, and then they left as losers at the end of the battle. The beginning of this surah talks about the actual battle, and then this was in the last juz'ah and yesterday's juz'ah. Today, most of the what's left of the surah will talk about some of the bounties and favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon his Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And it talks about the behavior that the mu'mineen should have towards their Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, starting from making salah on him. Ya inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi ya ayyuha alladhina amanu sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima. And then it also compares him the way how Banu Israel treated Musa alayhi salam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says فَلَعَنَهُمُ اللَّهُ بِمَا قَالُوا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cursed them the way how they treated their prophets, and this is a lesson for us to treat our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam with respect. The ayah that I want to talk a little bit more about, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says وما كان لمؤمن ولا مؤمنة إذا قضى الله ورسوله أمرا أن يكون لهم الخيرة من أمرهم ومن يعص الله ورسوله فقد ضل ضلالا مبينا وإذ تقول للذي أنعم الله عليه وأنعمت عليه أمسك عليك زوجك واتق الله وتخفي في نفسك ما الله مبديه وتخشى الناس والله أحق أن تخشاه. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has favors upon his Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and upon all of the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum as well. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had a servant that was given to him by his wife Khadija radiyallahu anha. His name was Zayd ibn Haritha, and he's very famous. He stayed with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for the majority of the Bi'tha time, from the time of Mecca, and then when they moved to Medina, before he was a martyr radiyallahu anhu. Zayd ibn Haritha, he was the servant to the Prophet ﷺ. He used to be a free person, but because of war, he ended up being a slave or a servant. And then that's how one of Khadija radiallahu anha's relatives ended up giving him to Khadija, and Khadija radiallahu anhu, she gave him to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Prophet took excellent care of him to the point that when his parents knew where he is and they came to free him to Mecca from the Prophet ﷺ, Prophet gave him an option to either go back with his family or stay with the Prophet ﷺ, and he selected to stay with the Prophet. And at that time in Mecca, the Prophet ﷺ came openly, and he declared, saying that that Zaydun, that he adopted Zayd, and then from that time his name became Zayd ibn Muhammad instead of Zayd ibn Haritha. That continued to be the case until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ادعوهم لآبائهم هو أقسط عند الله, until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put adoption down, and saying that if somebody is to take care of little kids as their kids, they still should attribute them, they still should give their name will be to their original family name rather than to be to the name of the person who's taking care of them. And then so his name went back from Zayd ibn Muhammad to Zayd ibn Haritha. The Prophet ﷺ wanted Zayd ibn Haritha to marry his cousin. Her name was Zaynab bint Jahsh. And his cousin, as the Prophet himself, they're from a noble heritage or noble class in Quraysh, right? They're from Bani Hashim, at least the Prophet ﷺ. She was a daughter of his aunt, Umaymah. And Zayd ibn Haritha used to be a slave, although after that he became, as the Prophet ﷺ declared him to be his son, as we mentioned earlier. But he was still from a lower class, if you will. But the Prophet ﷺ wanted that difference between classes to go away. And this was, and he wanted him to marry Zaynab for that reason. Initially, Zaynab was not very thrilled about this marriage, but then she agreed, and then she married him after she moved to Al-Medina. But subhanAllah, this marriage was not written for it to be successful. So after a short period of time, relatively, arguing between him and Zaynab, and the way how Zayd radiallahu anhu felt that she's always felt, that Zaynab felt always to be uncomfortable around Zayd ibn Haritha, and not, or feeling that she's at a higher class than him. More than one time he came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asking him if it's okay to leave her. Now, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will order him to say, "Amsik alayka zawjaka wattaqillah." The Prophet will tell him, "Take care of your wife and fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." That was the answer of the Prophet. Now, there was, though, a revelation to the Prophet before that. A while after the Prophet made Zayd and Zaynab marry, then he had a revelation that Zaynab will get divorced, and you, meaning the Prophet, you are to be married to her. And Aisha radiallahu anha will say, when she explains this ayah, she will say, if there was any ayah that the Prophet ﷺ was to hide from this Quran, he would have hidden this ayah. But obviously the Prophet ﷺ will not hide anything. The reason for that, because he did not he didn't really want to marry her. He, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, as we know from the ayah in Surah An-Nisa, وَحَلَائِلُ أَبْنَائِكُمْ الَّذِينَ مِنْ أَصْلَابِكُمْ, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbid men to marry the wives of their children if the children end up dying or they divorce their wives. So that's haram, right? But Zayd is not truly his son, he's adopted. So this is not haram, but the Prophet still did not really want to do that. But you know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying here, وَتُخْفِي فِي نَفْسِكَ مَا اللَّهُ مُبْدِيهِ. The Prophet was hiding that in his heart, although he knew that that's going to happen. And he is ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when that happens, when the divorce is to happen, after the iddah passes, the Prophet is supposed to marry her, to marry Zaynab bint Jahsh. But still, every time Zayd will come asking him to divorce her, the Prophet will say, "Amsik alayka zawjaka wattaqillah." Take care of your wife and fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, until it got to a point where that living was not possible. So Zayd radiallahu anhu ended up divorcing her, and the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, as he's ordered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, regardless if he will follow what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered him to do. Here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَتَخْشَى النَّاسِ, you will fear those munafiqeen that will go and you say, look at him, he married a wife of his son, although as I said, he's not really his son. But that's what munafiqeen started saying, and the Prophet knew that that's going to happen, but he had to follow the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَتَخْشَى النَّاسَ وَاللَّهُ أَحَقُّ أَن تَخْشَاهُ. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَمَّا قَضَى زَيْدٌ مِنْهَا وَطَرًا زَوَّجْنَاكَهَا. And this was a favor upon Zaynab bint Jahsh radiyallahu anha. She's one of the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he died, and she was on his isma. And she always used to say that I'm the one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from above 7 heavens, he ordered the Prophet to marry me. And all of you other ones, the Prophet married you, just he married you as usual. But she's the only one that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered him to marry her. And that's a favor, you know, that's a point to her that's taken. She was called later on, after the Prophet died, the mother of the masakeen, the mother of the poor, the amount of, you know, she had clean heart. She just did not like Zayd ibn Haritha, but she had a clean heart. She really used to take care of the poor people, and she died when she was young, relatively in her 50s, radiallahu anha. So that was a favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon Zaynab to make her marry the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and obviously all the wives of the Prophet, the mothers of the mu'mineen, they will have their own level in the Jannah, inshallah. Now, what about Zayd ibn Haritha, if you look at it? So he divorced his wife, right? And he lost his name. I'm sure he was very happy with the name when he used to be called Zaydun ibn Muhammad. But then when he lost that name and he became again Zayd ibn Haritha, I'm sure he felt more than one loss. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not leave it that way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَلَمَّا قَضَى زَيْدٌ مِنْهَا وَطَرًا. Zayd, his name was mentioned in the Quran. He's the only Sahabi, the only companion of the Prophet that his name is mentioned by name in the Quran. There is nobody else that has his name mentioned other than him. Even Abu Bakr, although Abu Bakr's level is much higher in our ummah, as we know. But Abu Bakr was in the mentioning of his name was somewhat hidden, you know, as we know. ثاني اثنين إذ هما في الغار. When he was with the Prophet ﷺ in Ghar Thawr, he's ثاني اثنين, he's the second person, but he was not mentioned by name. Zayd was mentioned by name. So imagine Zayd radiallahu anhu or his son Usama ibn Zayd. They will go into the masjid, and here, you know, they're being hearing the Prophet being an Imam of the Salah will read the Quran, and part of his what he will read, he will say فَلَمَّا قَضَى زَيْدٌ مِنْهَا وَطَرًا, and he's one of the people that are praying in that prayer. So that's a level that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him in this ayah in order to elevate him, in order for him to feel good because of what happened and the difficulties that he passed through. So sometimes difficulties lead to great things that could be counted in this dunya and could be counted in the hereafter. The surah after Al-Ahzab was Surah Saba. And Saba is a tribe in Yemen, in the southern portion of the Arabian Peninsula. It was a great tribe, and it was a culture or civilization that stayed for thousands of years, and it was known to be very successful civilization. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here in the Quran says, لَقَدْ كَانَ لِسَبَإٍ فِي مَسْكَنِهِمْ آيَةٌ. In their houses, in their place, in their city, it was an ayah from beauty, how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put gardens in their land, how He provided for them, and even He called that city بَلْدَةٌ طَيِّبَةٌ وَرَبٌّ غَفُورٌ. فَأَعْرَضُوا فَأَرْسَلْنَا عَلَيْهِمْ سَيْلَ الْعَرِمِ. Then people of Saba, of this tribe, they had their own wise people, pious people. They had their own prophets that invited them to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they refused. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent a flooding on them that ended up destroying that city. That city was called Ma'rib, and there was a dam or a barrier that will prevent water from flooding them. It's called Saddu Ma'rib, the barrier of Ma'rib, or the dam of Ma'rib. And that was destroyed, and then they flooded the city, and then those gardens that were there, all of a sudden they're completely destroyed. It was just because of a couple things. They, first of all, see how much rizq and how much beauty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in their city. Even they say, and it's again in the southern part of the Arabian Peninsula, if you go basically parallel to the Red Sea, it goes through the cities until they reach Bilad al-Sham up north. And between Bilad al-Sham and Yemen, this area was beautiful area, full of great cities, and even between each city and city, you can see the city after that. So people, when they used to go and trade in their caravans, when they leave Ma'rib or they leave Saba, going up north for trading to Bilad al-Sham, they didn't even need to take luggage with them. They didn't even need to take food with them, because this area was full of multiple cities that were governed by the kings of Ma'rib, the kings of Saba. So the people, when they used to go there, they didn't need to pay that much money. They didn't need to think about it as being a large or a difficult travel. So this was all from the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They had misjudgment. Their judgment was poor to the point that they started making dua to their Lord that, no, we want to take our luggage from our place. We want to take our food from our place. We don't want this place from Yemen to Bilad al-Sham to be beautiful and full of cities. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, because of that misjudgments, because of them not thanking Allah for the favor of the provision and the beautiful city, ظلموا أنفسهم فجعلناهم أحاديث. We made them stories. ومزقناهم كل ممزق. And they got torn into multiple pieces. جعلناهم أحاديث. It's a way of dispraising somebody. We made them stories, basically, because people now in Arabia, after that flooding came, and they got all torn into small groups. They left Yemen. Some of them went to Bilad al-Sham, some went to the Iraq, some went to Oman. So they became stories, but stories of dispraise, not stories of them being patient or thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, among us, from this, if you think, all of this tells us about how they had the early bad misjudgments, but there was always mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in some of the difficult times. The mercy, you would see it from the people that had the flooding on them in Ma'rib, were two groups. They relate to two brothers, one called Aus and the other one is Al-Khazraj. They were two tribes that they had a lot of experience with farming, and especially for palm tree farming. So they decided to go to a place where palm tree farming would potentially be very successful, and they were told to go to Yathrib, to the Medina. And that's where they went there, and they became large tribes. But because they're cousins, and as the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the cousins, related people, relatives generally, there's a lot of envy and there's a lot of competition that will come between them in general. So that's what happened, and competition between the two tribes, the Aus and the Khazraj, ended up causing a lot of fighting between them in Medina, in Yathrib at that time, before the Prophet came down. Even they say 3 years before the Prophet came, they had a very bad day of fighting called Yawm Bu'ath, where multiple people ended up being killed because of that fighting. And that was part of the reason why they ended up going to the Prophet, to Mecca, and then they heard from the Prophet ﷺ, and they felt that the Prophet and the religion, the faith of Islam is much better than the way how they're behaving and dealing with each other as two tribes. And then they came back to Yathrib. They gave that what they got from the Prophet in the Bay'at al-Aqaba al-Ula and the second one. They started spreading Islam before the Prophet came to Yathrib. And then 3 years later, when the Prophet came to Yathrib and Yathrib became Al-Medina, Islam was already started by those few people that went initially from both Al-Aws and Al-Khazraj and met with the Prophet in Mecca. So it started from Sad Ma'rib and how it was flooding that killed a lot of people, and ended up with Al-Aws and Khazraj that became what we call now Al-Ansar. Al-Ansar are Aws and Khazraj. They're the people of Medina that used to live in the Medina, and then they protected the Prophet ﷺ when he came to Al-Madinah Al-Munawwara. So there is a mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that even happened during that difficult time. This is the Saba. It talks about them, talks also a little bit about Dawood alayhi salam and his son Sulaiman. And then Surah Fatir after that. And Fatir comes from the first ayah, Alhamdulillahi Fatir as-samawati wal-ard, Ja'il al-malaikati rusula. Ja'il al-malaika, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made angels to be messengers. Some of them, they will take the revelation to the prophets, but some of them are messengers for different reasons. They protect humans. Some of them, they take the souls of humans at the time of death. So that's why they're called messengers. This surah is called also Surah Al-Malaika because of this ayah. Fatir as-samawat, what's the name? Fatir, what does that mean? Fatir means that the one who creates things with no example before that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created heaven and earth with no example before that. So that's the name of the surah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala towards the end of the surah says, وَالَّذِي أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ مِنَ الْكِتَابِ هُوَ الْحَقُّ مُصَدِّقًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ بِعِبَادِهِ لَخَبِيرٌ بَصِيرٌ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling his Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, what we've revealed to you in this book, meaning Al-Quran, is the truth, and it follows or speaks about the books that came before it. And as another narration in another ayah, وَمُهَيْمِنًا عَلَيْهِ, and it's stronger than them. It has a lot of knowledge more than what they do, the other books do. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, ثُمَّ أَوْرَثْنَا الْكِتَابَ الَّذِينَ اصْطَفَيْنَا مِنْ عِبَادِنَا. So this truth that we've revealed to you, initially it was to you, and then after the Prophet died, the ayah says, ثُمَّ أَوْرَثْنَا الْكِتَابَ. Who became responsible for this book, or who became the carrier of the message in this book, they're called الَّذِينَ اصْطَفَيْنَا مِنْ عِبَادِنَا. Some of our servants that we've selected, and those are all the people that believed in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So those are us, al-Muslimin. In this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will divide those people that he selected and had made them the successors of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this dunya. He says, فَمِنْهُمْ, although they're selected, but from amongst them, ظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ, from amongst them, there are people that their bad deeds are still a lot more than their good deeds. So that's one group. Those are the people that wronged themselves. Second group is وَمِنْهُمْ مُقْتَصِدٌ. Muqtasid meaning that they've learned what's mandatory upon them, and they've done that. What's mandatory, they've done it. And they stopped there. They did not do extra deeds. They did not do good deeds or plenty of good deeds to take them to another step forward. So this is the second group. So the first one is the wrongdoers, the people that wronged themselves. And the second one is the muqtasid, or people that just followed what's mandatory upon them. And the third one is وَسَابِقٌ بِالْخَيْرَاتِ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ, people that will do good deeds and they raced into doing good deeds, not walk, they race. وَسَابِقٌ بِالْخَيْرَاتِ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. But they do this just because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had selected them or had given them the ability to do so. And without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well, without His favor upon them, they wouldn't have been that way. So if you feel yourself one time that you've, alhamdulillah, fasted today, the day of Ramadan, you've prayed your 5 mandatory prayer, inshallah you'll pray Salat al-Isha later today, and you will pray other prayers after that, including a tahajjud and taraweeh, right? So when we do this, inshallah, this will be counted from sabiqun lil khayrat, from the people that race into doing good deeds. But we always have to remember that that's not because of our power and how good we are. It's because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us that feeling and that ability to do so. And there are others that are mahroomin. There are others that they might have a lot more knowledge than we do. There are other people that are smarter. There might be other people that are wealthier. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يؤتي الحكمة من يشاء. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يختص برحمته من يشاء. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala هو ذو الفضل العظيم. He gives that fadl, He gives that ni'mah, He gives that mercy to whoever He wants. So ومنهم سابق بالخيرات بإذن الله ذلك هو الفضل الكبير. What's الفضل الكبير is the greatest fadl, the greatest favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what's the greatest favor? The greatest favor is that the ummah that were successors of the Prophet, that took this book, Al-Quran, and they're caring for it. They're all, because they followed the deen, because the deen is in their hearts, that's that's by itself the greatest favor, having this deen in their heart. Although they're divided into 3 groups, the group that wronged themselves, the group that did only mandatory things, the third group that are racing. So all of them are groups, but still a big favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just the fact that He has given them the faith in their hearts. And that's why the reward of this is the ayah after that, Jannatu adnin yadkhulunaha. And here yadkhulunaha, the Jannatu adnin is the heaven with a permanent residence, and right, yadkhulunaha, they enter it. And this word there's waw, which is waw al-jama'ah, it talks about plural. The scholars, when they explain this waw, they say this yadkhulunaha means the 3 groups that we mentioned earlier, the 3 of them, all of them, they will end up entering Jannatu Adn. And that's why this is a great favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that made everybody that would follow the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam will enter Al-Jannah. Some of the scholars say this is arja ayatin fi kitabillah. So this is from the ayat that has great promise, or one of the greatest promises in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's book, that despite the fact that some are wrongdoers, despite the fact that some don't do a lot of good deeds, just the mandatory things, and the third group, all of them, they will enter Jannatu Adnin with the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. When we hear this, and we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us tawfiq during this month of Ramadan to read the Quran, to fast, to perform Taraweeh, despite it's hard for people to go, and it's easier generally just to go to the masjid and listen, but we're doing it in our homes and making an effort, and sometimes to listen to some of the sessions, like a session that I give, and I know I'm not that great in doing it, but you still have patience to listen to me. So inshallah that will give that will make you from the people that Allah selected in order to listen and in order to get that great favor from Him. عز وجل. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات المسلمين والمسلمات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك يا مولانا سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات. اللهم من أراد بالإسلام والمسلمين خيرا فخذ بيده إلى كل خير، ومن أراد بهم غير ذلك فخذه أخذ عزيز مقتدر. اللهم أصلح لنا ديننا الذي هو عصمة أمرنا، وأصلح لنا دنيانا التي فيها معاشنا، وأصلح لنا آخرتنا التي إليها معادنا، واجعل الحياة زيادة لنا في كل خير، واجعل الموت راحة لنا من كل شر. اللهم إنا عبادك أبناء عبادك أبناء إمائك، نواصينا بيدك، ماض فينا حكمك، عدل فينا قضاؤك، نسألك بكل اسم هو لك سميت به نفسك أو أنزلته في كتابك أو علمته أحدا من خلقك أو استأثرت به في علم الغيب عندك، أن تجعل القرآن العظيم ربيع قلوبنا وجلاء أحزاننا وهمومنا. اللهم علمنا منه ما جهلنا، وذكرنا منه ما نسينا، وارزقنا تلاوته آناء الليل وأطراف النهار على النحو الذي يرضيك عنا. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك، ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك، ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا والآخرة. ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقواتنا ما أحييتنا، واجعله الوارث منا، واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا، ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا، ولا تجعل إلى النار مصيرنا يا رب العالمين. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا في رمضان، اللهم اجعلنا من عتقائه من النيران. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم. اللهم إنك عفو كريم تحب العفو فاعف عنا يا كريم. آمين اللهم آمين، والحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى يا رب على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. The winner of the quiz yesterday, that Hafid Afraz mentioned, will be Faizan Siddiqui. Inshallah, congratulations. It was a beautiful essay that he sent, although there were other very beautiful essays as well, but his was a little very special today. Alhamdulillah. Jazallah khairan. Question for today for the kids. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Fatir, ayah number 32. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about this ummah, talked about the Muslimin, and he in the ayah, the Muslimin were divided into 3 groups. Please mention or explain the 3 groups and what's the outcome of each of these 3 groups. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised that there is Jannah that will come. Which of these groups will end up entering Al-Jannah, inshallah? Last thing that I want to mention, we're going to start from tonight, inshallah, putting the rewards in the musalla mailbox. So from outside the door, before you enter al-musalla, there is the mailbox there. So the rewards, the gift cards, they will be placed in the mailbox from outside. So each family with the winners, the gift cards will be placed in an envelope, and the name of the winner will be in that envelope. So if the parents at some point during the day, tomorrow or anytime, they want to stop by and start getting the gifts, I think we'll start giving the first 16 days first, and then the 16 days after that. So they will be left there. Now, if somebody lives far away and there is no way for them to come to the musalla, if they can send us an email to the same email that they send the answers to, the on Ramadan at AMPO-Online.com. They send if they can just send saying that we cannot come to AMPO, and then just put their address, and then we'll figure out how we can send the gift card to them, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan for listening, and we'll see you soon, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.